Hey everybody, it's PJ from Wisconsin Airgunners, and I want to welcome you to one of the quietest places in all of the airgun world. This is the headquarters of DonnyFL and Saber Tactical. All right, let's go check out the shop. Hey, Donnie.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing, man?
PJ, doing good.
Well, thanks for having us.
Welcome.
Yolanda,
Hello.
how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking a minute to give us a tour of the DonnyFL and Saber Tactical facility here in Central Florida.
No problem. Let's get started.
Looking forward to seeing where all the silence comes from.
All right, come. This is our warehouse. We just moved in here a couple months ago, 5,000 square feet. Last warehouse was 2,000 square feet, so this is a upgrade for us. But as you can see soon, that it's packing up really quick.
And this is not just DonnyFL stuff, is that correct?
This is DonnyFL and Saber Tactical.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well,
So, you want to take a look?
yeah, see how it works.
So this is my desk right here. When I first come in, I sit by the door, see who's coming in and out. Izzy's workstation.
And Izzy's gonna talk us through building a sumo, right?
Yep, he is. He's
Awesome.
Gonna do that. Show you guys how to assemble. We've got a couple projects going on, low key, and we got this station right now set up for assembling the Saber Tactical chassis. So you'll see some screws, different station, and we also do assemble the DonnyFL suppressors over here as well.
Looks like we got some kois on the bench here.
Yep. Coy's getting ready to go out.
So we're first going to start with the DonnyFL side of our business. Right here is usually where we start off with assembling and everything. So let's go step by step. This is actually where we have everything already completed and set to go for DonnyFL and Saber Tactical.
Can you walk us through some of the different things that you guys are getting ready to ship out?
Sure. So we actually have it by sections. This first section is where all our suppressors are. They're ready to go, and we have them set up so it's easier to find it and have less mistakes be made.
And that can't happen very often, does it?
We're humans, so there's no machines. We're not Amazon yet where machines pick out even though Amazon still commits mistakes. We are humans, so sometimes, yes, we do make mistakes, but we try to minimize it.
What happens if I get a suppressor and it's got like the wrong connector?
Oh, no problem. We just ask you to ship it back, or if it's something small, just the end cap being wrong, we just ship a new one to you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we're here with Izzy from DonnyFL, and he is going to walk us through setting up, actually building a sumo moderator. What caliber are we working on?
This is a 22-25, says right there. Any of our newer suppressors will say the caliber on the baffle themselves right here. So if you remove the end cap that normally goes there, you'll see the caliber on them. In case you're wondering what caliber you have or want to verify what it is, that's a place to look at.
What different caliber options are there?
So we have the 177-22 options. This is a 22-25 option. We got the 25-30 option, and we have the thread pitch, or the end caps of the different threads. We have the 1/2x20s, which is a common one. We also have the M18x1 if customer decides to go with a different option there, and we also have the 14x1.25 thread pitch on that as well.
And then which ones come 357 ready?
The 357 ready is going to be our Ronins, and the Emperors are the only ones that we have in 357. But we do have the options on these to go with the M18 thread, which is bigger, but if you have the smaller caliber rifle on it as well.
So I got parts ready. What do you do first?
All right, so we got a total of 7 parts, which is the end cap, baffle, the screen. The screen is an inner screen that goes over the baffle. We got the felt material that goes over the screen. We got the O-rings that go on the baffle itself and the outer sleeve. First of all, we're gonna add the O-rings. One there, flip it over, and another one there. All right, once we got that on, we're gonna add our screen. And if you're doing this at home, be careful. A lot of the times you'll get these little tiny little needle pricks and those will stab you, so be careful with that. All right, we're gonna get a little bit of masking tape. I'm gonna start it underneath the screen, and then one time around should be enough. And you want to make sure that you want to go about 1 inch in to have support from the baffle on the inside as well.
So the tape is actually over the rings in the baffle.
Yes. All right, so we got that first inner screen in, and what this does, it keeps this, the felt, from getting sucked into the baffle in the trajectory of the pellet or slug. So this is to reduce the damage to the felt itself. So what we're gonna do next, we're gonna wrap the inner screen with the felt. So you just grab that. We're gonna wrap it nice and slow, and you gotta make sure it's a snug fit on there. A little snug there. You gotta make sure it's straight and tight. So I'm gonna roll it again just to make sure you get the creases out of there. There you go, that looks pretty good. You're gonna get the tape, put the outer side in. All right, flip it over. We're gonna do the other side. All right, got that, and then we're just gonna do one more on the end, on the middle. All right. So now we got our internal baffle complete with the felt, tape, and inner screen. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our outer sleeve and we're gonna slide the back of the baffle in through the front, which is where it would be the name of the suppressor here. You're gonna slip it in. It's gonna be a little bit on the rigid side to slide in, but that is our O-rings holding everything in place. All right, now we got that baffle in, and we're gonna put our end cap on, and the end cap is what holds our front baffle together inside the sleeve. And that is how you build a sumo suppressor from DonnyFL. So once this is assembled, it goes into one of our DonnyFL tubes, and this is to store, transport, or protect your suppressor while it's in a case, in a box, or anywhere you'd like. So when you receive it, you will receive it with this face facing out on there. That's our sumo from DonnyFL.
So from the suppressors, we come to the adapters, and we have everything here with the same system where it's all numerical. And here we make for most airgun manufacturers out there. So you could see something from AirArms, Benjamin, of course, FX, of course, Brocock, Daystate, you'll see Ataman, you'll see Sumatras, you'll see a lot of them here. We try to cater to a lot of the companies and a lot of the shooters out there that have different brands, different makes and models.
Do you know how many different adapters you have?
Currently, we're right below 72, I believe.
Wow.
We're around the 70 mark. Yeah.
Okay.
And we do obviously want to add more to help the air gunner out there.
So do most of those requests come from shooters or from companies that make rifles?
Right now, it's from shooters. Companies have contacted us, and we've worked with some, but for right now, it's mostly from shooters. They're the ones requesting it because they have something that they want to quiet down.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So lately, which are the more popular ones? What are you seeing going out more?
Definitely the Avengers. Avengers, we can't keep them in stock. We keep ordering more and more, and they're just flying off the shelves.
So here we have kind of like the miscellaneous, which is all the extra accessories that are not silencers or adapters. So you have like extension shrouds, you have the end caps, you have the fill probes, the mag holders for the Wildcat, anything else you find in here. So this is basically the DonnyFL part of everything that's ready and set to go to the customer. And here is part of the Saber Tactical that's set and ready to go. For example, you'll find here the very much loved butt pads, the Arca rails. There's a lot of demand for products for FX because, there's a lot of bench shooters and a lot of pest control people that do love the impacts and Maverick that just came out, and they want extra accessories for them. So anything to make a gun an extension of you, we want to provide, slowly but surely.
My understanding is there's a new Arca Swiss rail for the Maverick.
Yes, there is.
Can you show us one of those?
Yes. So here is the Picatinny 2 Arca extension, and there will be a slightly shorter one.
25. These are the new Arca rail attachments. You attach it by the Picatinny, the short Picatinny, and then it gives you, here you go, attaches to Picatinny. Then you got the Arca rail at the bottom, and then you got the T-slots, M-lock, and then you also have the 1/4-20 for camera adapters for tripods.
And you don't lose your Picatinny.
Yep,
Because you have more Picatinny
up front, definitely.
And while that's sort of tailor fit to the Maverick, that could actually go on anything with a Picatinny rail, correct?
Yes, it will actually fit most, and we found out that slightly by accident, so that's why it's labeled universal. So even though it was made specifically for the Maverick, it actually does fit a lot of actual other makes and models. So we were extremely happy to find that accident.
Cool.
So
And
it works on other guns. We've tested on the Leshy. The Leshy works really well. And it also adds a more comfortable front foregrip for shooting offhand.
And what do those retail for?
These are going for $165. And people ask, we're seeing questions. Why is this one more expensive than the regular FX Impact Arca rails or Picatinny? And the thing is, this is actually more complicated. It's a two-piece. They machine this whole piece first, and then there's another piece right here. You can see where the cutout. And when we screw it in, it tightens against the Picatinny. So it costs more because it takes more machine hour.
Are those completed chassis down
Yes,
there?
here are some of the completed one. This is actually the first one that Saber Tactical came out with. And here we have the Dreamline tube chassis. So this is where we have some that are completed, already assembled by our team, and are ready to go, either to distributors or directly to the customer. They're ready to be mailed out.
Cool. And these are all completed then?
Yep, these are completed, ready to go. We have the Dreamline bottles. the crown chassis, and I think that one's also the crown chassis.
So when you get the parts in, how long does it take to assemble one of those?
It usually, like, we have, depending on how many techs we have on working on at the same time, and if they break out the parts, I mean what do you call it?
The components?
Yeah, they break out the components and they set up the different workflows set up correctly. I think they can do about 20 chassis in an hour, and it's just a lot of screws and a lot of testing, fittings. Yep.
So this is our assembly station. This is actually where we receive our parts and build them from scratch. So if we are low, say on Sumos, if we are low on Tatsus or any of our models, this is where we build them, and it's step by step. So we actually have our monocore design here, and then we do a mesh covering on it. This is the outer tube, and once everything's assembled with the rest of the parts, this is the finished product before we put an end cap on this, and it's ready to go to a customer.
How many of these can be produced, like, in a day? How many can you make?
Well, our assemblers can do anywhere from, depending on the model, but let's say the Emperors, which are the biggest one, they could build anywhere from 20 to 40 an hour. And all of us here, from when we start with a company, we are taught to learn every single stage of the process, obviously for knowledge reasons. So we could all jump in and do any, but the average is around 30 to 40 an hour, which is, yeah, it would be average.
And you have 2 setups for that?
We have 2 setups for this, but if we do need additional ones, like say someone puts in an order of a higher amount, then all of us have a little working station where we could set up and do them ourselves. Yeah. So this is where you find the mesh, the felt that we use, and it's getting ready to, get started with the day and start rolling.
And I think the thing that takes up a lot of room in this warehouse is packaging. And if you look on the right side over there, it's all these packaging just waiting. Different types of plastic bags, different sizes. And on the other side of the warehouse is all the big boxes. So a lot of prototypes. We do a lot of Q&A. And then we troubleshoot them. We have a guy who, one of our techs would write what the error is, and then we try to fix it. If not, then we just discard. And these are the Saber boxes, the chassis boxes that we, kind of like a pizza shop. You kind of assemble it and get it ready to go. Yep. And over here, we don't use much of it anymore. But now that actually Izzy started doing a lot of custom work for me now. I used to do a lot of custom adapters, and I stopped that just because I didn't have enough time. But now that Izzy's here, he's been kind of took over that role, and we're slowly taking in some custom adapter requests.
Nice.
Yep. And this is where it all started. These 2 machines, and people will tell you, like, the machine is one thing, but then buying all the accessories for the machine is what costs a lot. Costs more than the machines themselves.
So right now, components come in from where?
We're at China. We get a lot of our stuff from China, and then we assemble it here. But most of all the productions are made in China.
And you find you're getting a quality product and passing that savings on to us?
Definitely. They make really good quality. The anodize is, top notch. We try to compare it with a lot of companies here, and even they're like, where'd you get this anodize? And we're like, from China. So, yeah. And a lot of the US companies, because we're such a small company, we don't order enough of their quantities for them to even take on some of our projects.
So what are we looking at here?
Over here is all chassis components, different crowns, streamlines, And over here is where we have all the suppressor baffles, outer screens, I mean not outer screen, but outer shells, and packing tubes, the red packing tubes. Let me show you. So we get them. Get these packing tubes ready to go. There we go. Sumo.
So what happens on this side of the wall?
So now we are on the Saber Tactical side and storage for where merchandise comes in. So these two stations are set up to assemble almost anything that have to do with the butt pads and everything that gets assembled. It starts right here. And also the chassis. We do have like little instructions and labeled boxes because there is a lot of components, and you know, these are set up to be specifically for Saber Tactical, and you will find the packing materials, everything needed to get directly to the distributor or to the customer directly.
So you can get a chassis either from Saber Tactical or from whichever of the airgun stores you would buy from.
Exactly, and that's the really great part about it, that it's an accessory. So a lot of more countries open up to, say, a customer in Germany that wants to buy a chassis, but there's no one around him to order from, either on local online store or an actual distributor. He has the ability to go into sabertacticalinc.com and order directly from us, and we deal with the customs, we deal with shipping and everything to get it to that customer.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is. It is. If you don't have someone local to you, you can just go online and order, which is a great convenience to a lot of people.
So how many people work here on a full-time basis?
Full-time, it's Yolanda, myself. We got Izzy, we got Juan, we got Janine, and we got Matt. So 6, and then we have a part-time Tyler. So 7 total that work here.
So real small business.
Real small business, and everyone does their part, you know, which helps. We get, you know, I think we're known for being able to ship out fast, and it's, you know, we have a really good working team.
So if an order comes in from the online store today,
Yep.
it's probably not going to be processed till Monday because it's Friday.
Exactly.
But if it came in early today, there's a good chance it went out today.
Yeah. We try to send everything out the same day, but we have a cutoff. We have our FedEx pickup is at 2:30, so anything be around 2 and earlier usually gets shipped out the same day.
And that's Eastern time.
Eastern time.
Right.
Yep. Good
And
point.
where all can you ship? Because you can ship outside the U.S., right?
We ship to the U.S., but on our website we don't allow people to check out from international because we have to review each country and see if there's any restrictions on those. And then if it's a country that allow airgun suppressors, then we send out a custom invoice.
Okay. So if you're international and you're watching this,
Yep.
and you want to order something, you go to the website and you place the order, but it's not going to let you check out.
Exactly. As for suppressors, adapters and stuff you could, but
Okay.
suppressors you can't.
So get that
Most of the
process
time when they try to put an order and at the end it'll say no shipping method available for this order, and that's when you know that it's from international.
Okay.
But we also promote our international dealers. We have like so many international dealers right now in Europe. So we try to give all the business to them before it comes to us, or I always consider us as the last resort for international shipment because it costs more for us to ship out there compared to our international dealers can ship really cheap.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So first thing would be see if you got a dealer in your country that can handle that order for you.
Exactly.
And then last resort,
It's
give you
through
guys
us.
contact you guys directly.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep.
So what are some of the challenges of operating a relatively small business in really a global market and a global economy?
Well, you know, there's so much cost that's associated with it. Originally, we wanted to brand our brand as Made in America. And I went around looking, I went and talked to different machine shops here. And so they're like, so what quantities like are you talking about here? And we're like, it's because we're small, everything's funded by us. I'm like, maybe 100 sumos at a time or something like that. And they're like, well, 100, we don't have time to turn our machines on for you guys because we have these $1 million contracts with the military or NASA. So it was very difficult to get someone to work with us as a small company and with the low budget that we had. And then what I also found is like, we can do a machine shop, bring our products to this machine shop, they produce it, but then they don't do any anodizing. So we have to pick it up, bring it to another location, have it anodized, and then from there pick that up and then go get it lasered. So there's like a 3-step process in order to produce this. And you know, time is the essence. And by having 3 different vendors, it's very what would you say? It's not practical because if one vendor slows down, then everything else slows down. So whereas when we send to China, China does everything for us, where we don't have to coordinate anything. We just put in the order and they make it to our specification.
So how long did that process, the like finding a vendor on an entirely different continent, how long did that take to get that relationship sorted out?
It definitely took about, like I would say, a year of finding someone that we can communicate really well with and who could understand some of our needs. You know, I don't have any drawing background like CAD program, so I would draw on a piece of napkin, point arrows, you know, different specs here and there, and they're awesome to work with. You know, they would then have their engineers convert it for us into a CAD drawing. So, but that's just one step. And then the other step is making samples, you know, and each sample, because you're only doing 1 or 2 samples at a time, they charge you like 300 at a time, you know, for a part. And for a small business, we were like, you know, is it going to be worth it? Or, you know, but it ended up costing us, with any small business, it takes a lot of money upfront to do the research and development, finding the right vendors.
And even, you know, working with anyone here in the United States, as soon as you give them a number lower than the thousands, let's say 5,000, they don't even want to listen to you.
Yeah.
Much less make a sample for you. You are wasting their time versus going somewhere where you could get even better quality products at a good price, and they're willing to tweak designs or tweak anodizing or tweak anything that we would want and keep providing the samples. And from there, you know, you build relationships with people, and that's very essential, because once you need something else or you need something else designed, they're very willing to work with you, and you get to work on the price. Once you work on the price, you pass on savings that otherwise, if working here, which would be almost nearly impossible from what we were told with our small numbers, it's hard basically working with someone who's like, oh, we can't produce that many for you, that's too much. Kind of being in the middle. You're producing too much for the little guy, and you're producing too little for the big guy. So what do? You know?
And going back to your question, Paul, is what are some of the complications? And some of the complications, especially during now with the COVID, is there's not a lot of flights going in and out of China. So you have, it's a waiting game. And when they do have spots for you to send your shipment, it's very expensive. So prices are going up, import taxes are going up. So as a small business, and with us, we don't want to increase our price. You know, customers are already used to a set price, and we would hate to increase that for them. So we take the hit, and I think that's the way to do it for now. Hanging in there as much as, you know, we have to. But in the future, what our goal is with DonnyFL and Saber Tactical is to bring in, or to find land, build our own workshop, and bring our own CNC, you know, to kind of to be proudly put made in the USA in there. We definitely want to support the country and the people here. So yeah, that's our goal, and we don't want to rely on another country. Like, what's going to happen if COVID, you know, next year or even 2021? It's kind of early right now to see to tell what's going to happen, but I think in the future we don't want to be relying on them for everything.
A lot of what we hear in the airgun industry is that 2020, while it sucked for just about everything, was pretty good for sales. Did you guys see a big increase during this last year?
Yeah, definitely. And it definitely threw us off, because, you know, people always talk about how come you're always out of stock and stuff like that, because it's kind of hard to predict what the market was going to be. I mean, we double our orders for, let's say, it happened in what,
A lot.
like February. It happened in February, the COVID, and then sales just took off because a lot of people were more at home. They're doing more shooting, and I don't think it's just the DonnyFL was taking off, but the whole, like in general, the air gun market just took off. And for us, we tried to keep up with the demands, but it's really hard to do it. Foresee how much foresee the demands is gonna happen. So you don't want to spend too much because then you're gonna be stuck with a lot of inventory. So you try to plan it, but then even if we triple, quadruple our orders, we're still out of stock, you know, and that's a guessing game right now, and that's what we're doing. And right now we're out of stock. So it's still a learning process. We've been in this game for a couple of years, but it's still a learning process. We're learning as we go, and what the economy is like right now, what's going on with the economy right now.
Every once in a while I see a post online that somebody's asking you to bring back the Fat Boy.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Well, the Fat Boy was everyone wants a short, compact gun, and the Fat Boy was, I think it was one of my first carbon fiber suppressor. It's a 4-inch long suppressor that's 2-inch in diameter. At first, people made fun of it because they say it looks like a Campbell soup, can in front of their gun. But I think the more people saw it on different guns, it just grew on them. And we stopped it for a while because we felt that the Ronin, the longer 2-inch, was more effective, and also the Emperor. So, but demand's been really high, and I think 2021 we are going to bring back the Fat Boy, but in an aluminum format.
We were also, the funny part about that is that Fat Boy was kind of wedged in between two of our stages in DonnyFL. We went from the PVC piping to, well, let's make this more
Professional
looking, a better material. So we were able to invest some of our personal money into, now the Fat Boy. And we thought it was a great design, and it started being loved by people. But then, we had the idea of like, why don't we make something more tactical looking with really great aluminum and anodized? So we started playing with that idea. So Fat Boy was kind of like in between, but it had such a great following that people miss it. They miss it because it was very effective. So a lot of people were very nostalgic about that. And we had a lot of people who were like, I still have it. Look, and it's intact and it still works. Please make more. It's one of my favorites. And, even Ernest from FX USA, it's one of his favorite. So it had a great following, and people who had never seen one or has not seen one in the wild, they are interested in it too. They're like, I heard about this Fat Boy. What is it? Are you going to bring it back or not? So we're like, you know what? It was a really great era. We could bring it back.
Yeah, but what people don't understand is, like, in order to bring a new suppressor to the market, there's so many different calibers that I have to now make, and then different end caps for them as well, because there's different thread patterns that different guns have. So when we roll it out, we're going to roll it out complete different calibers and also different threading available.
So if I look at the DonnyFL website and I'm looking at the different moderators that are out there, there are about 3 diameters and then a couple different lengths. Mm-hmm. How did that all evolve?
It's all by the demand by customers. I always tell people that I only intended to have the Sumo, and Sumo was a big hit. People loved it, but then people were like, "Hey, Donnie, how about a shorter Sumo?" So that came the Tatsu, and then someone's like, I need it a little longer. This gun is a little more powerful. So then we came out with the Shogun. And then they're like, how about the Fat Boy? So it came similar. So I was like, I already got the design of the Sumo, and then we just made it bigger diameter. So we made it a 2-inch diameter like the Fat Boy. So, and then, it just evolves, and we always listening to what people are...
the feedback.
Yeah, the feedback. And if there's a lot of requests for it, then we start, looking into it. But if it's just a one-off, it's really hard for us to produce something that only like a handful of people are asking for.
You can't just bring something back. You have to think about the different guns out there. and the harmonics that will go in that with that gun. That's why our models grew, because there's different guns that work differently with each size of the, you know, the silencers that we have now. So if you want to bring something back, it's not as simple as this just produce one, which back then it was only one, believe it or not.
It was easy.
Yeah, it was easy. So now it's like you have to think about the different guns out there, the calibers, the threading for the different guns out there.
Yeah. And we don't want to make it a pain for the dealers as well. I mean, they're going to be like, oh, Donnie just came out with another size that we have to carry now. You know, we already have like seven different models, and now we're adding another model. So it's adding to their inventory. So, yeah.
You talk about the monocore, and that's really the center part, literally the center part of your design.
Yeah.
Are those all the same no matter what caliber you get, or are those differentiated by caliber?
They're all different. The bore hole is all different based on the caliber, you know. And some people email me and ask, "Hey, Donnie, do you sell the front cap to the, you know, the Sumo where I can switch the caliber?" But you can't, because the front cap is attached to the monocore, and we feel that's what makes it more accurate, because everything is perfectly aligned.
Stable.
Yeah, stable too. And then I always like the monocore design. You know, less moving pieces. Like when you have more than one moving parts or baffles inside, you know, over time that baffle can shift due to the amount of power of the air power that's being hit constantly.
So how many different calibers are there of monocore?
Right now we have from 177 all the way up to 50 cal. So I would say 177, 22, 25, 30, 357, 457, and 50 cal. So 7 calibers total.
And the bigger bore versions, are those all the moderators, or are those just the big boys?
Just the big boys. The Ronin and the Emperor support 45 and 50 caliber.
So talk to me a little bit about how the company's grown over the last couple of years.
It's been great. I mean, once you start thinking of our whole timeline of being here as DonnyFL, I mean, 5-6 years ago, it was just me and my husband. And then as of getting closer to now, we went from 2 people to 3 people. And then, you know, 2 years ago, our 4th person jumped on board. And then now we have about 7
employees.
7 employees.
Counting us.
Yeah, this all happened within the last 2 years, which for us was crazy. We never thought. We're still, I believe we still think of it as a small company. We just distribute it worldwide.
Yeah.
And
is there a garage somewhere that this all started in?
Yep. So when where it first started in my house, we used to share with my parents, and the garage was where I would have my milling machine and my lathes. It's just a prototyping, and then we were on the upstairs loft, which was about 20 by 15, and we had shelves all over the place. But what sucked was, when a truck came, we had to carry all the boxes all the way up to the second story. Then at the end of the day, we had to carry all the orders down, drive down to the post office. We then moved out to our current house, and then we were in the garage, 3-car garage, for about 3 months, almost 4 months.
3 months. We just thought it was a step up to move from a 2-car garage to a 3-car garage.
Yeah.
And thinking, and that's when actually Saber Tactical started. So we thought a 3-car garage, hey, we'll use that 1-car part to start off. Saber Tactical, we'll be fine. And then news started spreading of how this new company was making even more accessories for the air gunners out there. Yeah. That a 3-car garage within 2-3 months outgrew itself.
Yeah, and then we found our previous warehouse, which was 2,000 square feet. I remember we walked in there, we're like, oh my God, this is gonna last us for years.
This is huge.
Yeah, this is huge. We went in there, and then I think 4 months in, I was like, Ilana, I think it was, I think we need to move again. And just to think about moving was not even, I don't think we even planned it, because it cost so much to get out of the lease and all that. And then we moved from 2,000 square feet to this 5,000 square feet. And again, we went in here, we're like, this is like double that 2,000 square feet, and we're gonna take a long time to. There's 2 sides to this warehouse, 2,500 square feet each. So we're like, we would operate in one side and then slowly grow into the other side. But It's only been a couple of months and we've already taken over the whole place. So, and we're here for pretty long. We signed at least for pretty long, and I think already we're probably gonna look into a 10,000 square feet in the next couple of years.
Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed our opportunity to tour the Saber Tactical and DonnyFL warehouse. And I hope you also, as I did, enjoyed the opportunity to get to know Tuan and Yolanda just a little bit more. Based on this conversation, I don't think there's any doubt that we'll be seeing great new stuff and maybe some old stuff coming back out of DonnyFL and Saber Tactical in the coming year. A lot of time and effort goes into bringing you a video like this, and I appreciate that you've stuck around this long. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing, and if you can, like and leave us a positive comment down below. It certainly helps matters with YouTube. Until the next video, folks, shoot safe and shoot straight, and we'll see you on the next one.